Hi everyone, welcome to Test Anxiety Management. This is part one. This is going to be a three-part series. So this is part one, and we're basically, we're going to hit the basics. That's what I'm going to try to explain to you today. My name is Becca Smith, and I'm the Assistant Director at the Counseling Center in Powell Hall East. And if you have any questions or need anything after you watch this presentation, on the last slide it'll provide you our phone number, our website, and so if you have any questions you could call our office and ask for me directly or any one of our counselors. So feel free to stop at any time during the presentation, and like I said, if you have questions, please refer back to our counseling center after. Okay, so the outline today is just basically to understand the different types of test anxiety and what causes it. We're going to talk about a few different ways to handle anxiety so that you can perform better on your tests. All right, so the first thing I just kind of want to explain is why when you have test anxiety you don't perform well. Well, part of the reason is that once we get to a certain level of arousal, our brain kind of shuts down. It sends a ton of energy from our head to our body in order to do something. It thinks we're in danger. So when you get really anxious or really angry, what it wants to do is say, okay, we don't need to think about this. We just need to react. So it sends a ton of energy from the brain down to your muscles, and it's ready to run, fight, or even freeze and just try to pretend, hopefully, that the danger doesn't see you. So that's what our body does. Well, when it does that, it sends all that energy away, and so then your concentration goes down, your focus goes down, your ability to recall memory goes down. And so that's part of the problem. Your IQ can drop almost 20 points sometimes. And so then after the test is over, and you're calmed down, you're like, oh, I remember that question, or I knew that answer. And so then you're frustrated because you did know the information, but however, it wasn't coming to you in the test because you were too anxious or upset. So you can see on the picture up there that when you're low arousal, if you don't have enough arousal, you're actually not even going to study for the test. You don't even care. And so you need some arousal. So you can see in the middle there's like that guy that's on the medium. It's like, yes, just enough stress to get you going, but not enough stress to make it so that you can't focus. And if you're too high, then again, your ability to focus and concentrate and recall goes way down. And the other thing to kind of be aware of is that easy tasks, you can handle more stress and still do them. But with hard tasks, like a calculus test, cell biology test, biochem, those complicated tests, you really, really can't take that much stress before your ability to answer questions goes down. So you can see if you're doing a difficult task, you need to have actually less stress before your performance level goes down. If you're doing something easy that you've always done, you can handle a lot more stress and still perform well. Okay, so the effects of anxiety and stress. There are 4 different types of ways that your body handles stress. And the one is physiological. So physiological is your body. So I was explaining, like your muscles will get tense, like even your back, your neck, that kind of thing gets really tense. You might feel shaky. Your heartbeat will speed up. You could feel sweaty. You could even feel like nauseous or like you want to pass out. So when your body sends that much energy, it just is like an overload. And some people might even feel like they're having a panic attack. And sometimes you're just having a ton of stress, adrenaline, and sometimes you're actually having the panic attack. So it's going to affect your body in that way. The other way that it affects your body is emotionally, or affects you, I should say, is emotionally. So if you're worried about a big test and somebody asks you how you're doing, you might be like irritable with them, or you might not be able to handle things. You might feel like you're emotional and crying. You're like, I'm not normally like this. I don't normally cry or get upset. But you just can't handle a lot. So when you're under a lot of anxiety or stress, your emotions you don't have as much tolerance for things. And so your friends are kind of like, well, that was kind of rude, and you didn't mean to be rude, but you're just more irritable, or you could feel more sad or down or tired. Cognitively, again, I explained that your brain will kind of not be able to think clearly. It can't think straight. So you might feel more confused. You might forget things that you normally don't forget. And so that the stress and anxiety kind of affects the way that you're able to think through problems, which is frustrating because when you're trying to take a test, you absolutely need to be able to focus on problems, right? Okay. So the last thing is behavior. And it kind of goes along with emotions. So your behavior can be affected. Again, I can usually be a calm person. I usually want to help people. But if I'm overloaded and somebody asks me to do something, I'm like, or I'm like, again, wanting to sleep more, or I'm avoiding people. I might be, not myself. My friends might be like, what's wrong with you? And they might notice my emotions, which could be affecting my behavior. So that's all interlinked. Your physiological, your body, your emotions, your brain, and your behavior. It's all interlinked. And so you might not be acting the way that you normally would act. So you feel frustrated. And it just kind of is a vicious cycle. So I'm explaining all this to you now so you can kind of understand, yes, this is what I'm feeling, or I kind of feel that way a little bit, but not completely. So you may or may not have all these effects with test anxiety, but I'm just kind of explaining what could possibly be happening so you understand why you cannot focus. And then we're going to get into a little bit later how to help yourself feel more calm so this doesn't happen to you, okay? So fight or flight response. I love this picture. I love animals. So bear with me if you're not a fan of animals. And yes, I don't know that this picture wasn't photoshopped. So it doesn't look, like it was an actual real thing that happened. But it's funny. It kind of gets the thought across. And that's the body's way of preparing to deal with a threat. Well, obviously, if you're sitting down to take a test, the last thing you want your body to want to do is fight or flight. It doesn't need to fight anybody. It doesn't need to run away. It needs to sit down, be calm, and think through. And so you need to realize that your body wants to do the exact opposite of what you're needing it to do when you let yourself get very anxious. And anxiety can come from a lot of different reasons. I mean, you could have been taking a test in 5th grade and did really bad on it. Ever since then, you kind of are nervous about tests. Or this could be a new phenomenon where you've never had anxiety of tests, but all of a sudden this class really has thrown you. You can't understand the professor very well and you're feeling behind, and now all of a sudden you're anxious for this test. You're going into this first round of tests, or you've just taken your first round of tests, and you could just feel anxious not knowing what to expect, or then getting your first round test grades back, and you're worried now, oh no, I'm not doing as well in this class, and I've really got to try harder. And that pressure puts your body in a position where it wants to do something that you absolutely don't want it to do when you're going to take a test. You want it to be calm. You want it to be, your head to be clear. So what happens when we allow all this anxiety and pressure, perfectionism, to get to us, it actually does the opposite of what we want it to do. Okay. So moving on, there's 2 types of test anxiety. The first one is rational, and the second one is irrational. So we're going to go over both. So the rational one is, well, what if I forgot I had a test and I woke up late and I hadn't studied and I'm running to class? I should be nervous, right? I'm not prepared. I didn't, I'm beating myself up like I'm such an idiot, those are rational reasons. So we're going to talk a little bit of how, if you're having test anxiety because you're having bad time management and other things, we're going to address that a little bit today and then in future seminars. So hang in there, because if you don't get all your questions answered today, there are 3 parts to this. The second part will be coming out in a month, and the third part will be coming out 2 months right before finals to help you prepare for the week of finals. So what you want to be able to do is prepare. And if you feel prepared and you're still feeling anxious, that's irrational. That means you know what you're doing, but now you're just afraid you're going to fail. And everything around you tells you you're not going to fail. All your friends are like, you're going to be fine, but you still feel like you're going to fail. And that's that irrational thought process. Rational means, you didn't study, so you should be a little scared, right? But if you did study, you did prepare, you did everything you're supposed to, you went out to all the classes, you wrote down the notes, you went to the study groups, you know what you're doing, you can answer everything when you're calm, then you have irrational anxiety that's telling you you're going to fail, even though all facts point to the fact that you're probably going to do just fine. So managing. Okay, I've talked about the reasons you get anxious, right? Now you're like, okay, where's the help, Becca? So I'm getting to that. So bear with me. Preparation. Okay, so I talked about why you would feel anxious if you're not prepared. So this is a little bit about like time management. So the best way to reduce rational anxiety is to improve study skills. And I always tell people, you have natural abilities. Some people are just super organized. It becomes very easy to them. They like to plan ahead. That's just part of their personality. And other people are a little bit more laid back. They tend to procrastinate. And so you should know yourself, okay? If you're someone who, has or wants to procrastinate a lot or tends to procrastinate a lot, kind of prepare a little bit. Just know, okay, I have a big test coming up on Friday. I know I'm not going to study on Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday, so I better make sure Thursday night's open because I'm probably going to want to cram that night. So you want to kind of work with your strengths. When you expect, I'm going to study ahead of time, so I could probably go out Thursday night, and then you don't study Monday, you don't study Tuesday or Wednesday, and then you're like, crap, I'm going out Thursday, I don't have time now to study, and you go into that test not prepared. So it's kind of like making sure you know what your schedule is and working with your strengths and not against them. If you're someone who likes to plan ahead, good for you. Plan ahead, use your planner, and spend a little bit of time each night getting ready. Avoid cramming. Again, I just said if you're a procrastinator, you're probably going to cram. You're probably not going to be able to change that, but like I said, if you work with it, you can actually get a lot done the night before as long as you make sure you get sleep. Okay? Sleep is very important to turning that information that's in your head into memory. So when somebody studies all night and doesn't rest, their test grades are actually lower, their GPAs are actually lower than people who did go and get some sleep. So it's very important that you shut it down 3 o'clock in the morning, get at least 4 or 5 hours of sleep, and then get up and go take that test. All that information you're trying to get at 4 or 5 in the morning, it's not going to help you. It actually is going to make it worse. You do need a little bit of sleep. So try to prepare and plan for that as well. I know it's hard the first round of tests because you don't know what the test format is. You may not know how this professor tests. And so it can be anxiety provoking to not know what to expect. And don't worry, if you don't do that well on the first test, my advice is to go talk to that professor and ask them, is there a different way I should prepare? This is what I was doing. I didn't do so well on your test. Is there something different that I can do to help me do better on a test? This happened to me when I was in college. I'm not a science person. I'm definitely not a doctor for a reason. But I was taking a genetics class, which was pretty tough, and I'd never really taken this kind of class before. There was only 4 tests in the whole semester. So the one test was worth 25%, and I got a 48 on the first test. And that freaked me out. And I was like, what am I going to do? So I went to the professor, and I was like, here's my dilemma. I'm like, I don't want to drop your class, but I'm like at a solid F here. And so he said, yeah, I think you need to study a little bit different this way. I think you need to focus on these things the next time you take the test. And the next test, I got a low A, and I ended up getting a B in the class. And it was all because of how I needed to just switch the way I was studying. And that's what I would encourage you to do. If you've messed up, it's not too late to fix it. Don't let this first round of tests throw off the whole rest of your semester. We have the Student Success Center. Your professors are just really good resources. Some of them work better with you, some of them don't. I know some of you guys have adjuncts. They're not available on campus. They're harder to get a hold of. Try to find other people in your class that are doing well. Try to be creative about those resources. And if you really feel like you're just having anxiety, you can always come into the counseling center, and we can really help you go a little bit further than what the seminar is teaching you to help you calm down and relax and at least go into the test with your best foot forward. And then the other thing is you do want to get comfortable with the testing environment and kind of know what to expect. Know that other people are going to be in your class. Some of them are going to be faster than you. Some of them are going to be slower. And it's really hard when you try to compare yourself to other students. So someone else gets done with the test and you're like, oh my gosh, they're already done. I'm not even close to being done. Just realize that that's normal and that's okay, and just recenter yourself and be like, it's okay. It's all right. Everybody tests at different speeds. It doesn't mean that I'm not smart enough or that I can't finish this test. And go back to refocusing. This is your test, your grade. Do not worry about what other people are doing around you. If at some point it's really getting in your way, you can talk to someone about how to maybe test outside of that environment. But you do need to be diagnosed with anxiety or something a little bit more severe in order to test out of that environment. There's lots of things we can do to help you manage within the classroom first. So if you're having struggles with that, please come in and see someone who can really help you with that. Don't wait. We're here to help you. We're here to get you through that semester and get the best grades you can. Some of you are putting a lot of pressure to keep hope, and we can help you to kind of take that pressure off and, again, do the best that you can. Okay, so some more test-taking strategies. These are very basic. I know some of you guys are like, I'm already doing this. Are you going to teach me anything new yet? But these are just quick reminders because, yes, when you're sitting there and you're calm, you're like, I know these things. But when you get anxious, some of those things go right out of your head, and then you're not thinking about those things anymore, and you're making small mistakes. And you're like, oh, duh, I knew that, okay? So arrive early, and like I said, tune out others. Do not pay attention. The other good example is most good test takers will review the entire test. Just kind of look over it like, ooh, here's some, short answer, and here's some essay, and here's some multiple choice. Which one do I want to do first? Or if you look at the first, it says begin with the easier items. If there's something that's throwing you off right away, don't keep trying. Go on, and you're like, oh, I know this one. Because what happens a lot of times is you do something later in the test that reminds you of something that you are like, oh yeah, now I can remember what that formula was or what I was supposed to do there. So sometimes doing something else later in the test could help you remember something you needed to know earlier in the test. But if you get stuck on that and you don't move off of it, you're going to waste a lot of time and just get more frustrated. And then when you get in later in the test, you're already stressed and done, and you might make stupid mistakes on something you knew really well. So it's really smart to just kind of don't do the test in order if it's not working for you, okay? Managing your time, just knowing how much time you have, keeping your eye on the clock, not to pressure you, but just to know that, okay, let me get all the easy items done. Let me get all the ones I know for sure out of the way, because if I spend too much time over here, I could get a 0 on these items I definitely would have gotten points on. And save the things that are harder or that you don't know for last, so then if you run out of time, at least you got all the other answers in that you wanted to get in. Don't overthink it. Easier said than done. I'm an overthinker, so this is me, the pot calling the kettle black. It takes a lot of effort to not overthink something. And I use the example, the Olympics were just this year, okay? And if they tell themselves that they have to do this, like this is the biggest race of their career, and they put themselves under all this pressure, it can actually backfire on them. A lot of times they'll tell themselves, it's just another meet. It's just another race. I got to run my race. I'm not going to compare myself to these other runners. I'm not going to think that I have to get gold. It's all or nothing. A lot of times they have to talk themselves down and just be like, this is just another test. It's not the end of my world. I'm going to take a lot of tests in my career as a college student. This is just one, and it doesn't define me. I don't have to ace this thing. I just need to get through it. So I tell people to kind of calm yourself down by just like, it's just one more thing I have to do. It's just one more race. It's just one more meet that I'm doing. It's not the Olympics. It's not the biggest night of my life. Because sometimes when you think that way, it actually makes you so much more anxious that you don't perform as well. Take breaks when needed. It's okay to be like, okay, I'm getting frustrated. Let me take a deep breath. Let me get recentered. And then go back. Some people are, I just need to get done. And when really you just take a moment to relax and breathe. So those are some test-taking strategies. Some of these you might already be doing. Some of them you weren't ever thinking that you should do. Implement what works for you. Work with it. If something doesn't work, change it for the next time. You don't have to keep doing something that doesn't work for you. And what works for one person doesn't work for another. So kind of play around with this. I know it's hard. You're like, okay, play around during a test. But what I mean is practice some of these other strategies. You're anxious in other situations, maybe, And so try to do some of these other techniques, trying to talk yourself down, not overthinking other things. It may help you when you do the test. If you just have test anxiety, do a practice test. Put yourself through a timed, exercise with homework and see how you do. Sometimes it helps to do those kind of practices. Okay, so you cannot be relaxed and tense at the same time. So if you're feeling tense, I want you to try to relax. Because what that does, if I'm able to take a deep breath, before, like I said, all that oxygen, all that energy, if I get anxious, goes from my head to my body, correct? So now 20 points lower on my IQ. If I take a deep breath, it's bringing more oxygen in, hopefully flowing up, not just to my muscles, but to my head. Shake it out. Shake your hands out. Grab onto your chair and just, tense your muscles up and then try to relax them. And this you want to do before the test and during the test. So deep breathing. My husband hates this. He's like, I hate deep breathing. It doesn't work for everybody, but I will tell you, it is the quickest way to reduce anxiety. Because if I'm breathing evenly and slow, my brain can't stay in an anxious state. It won't. It's hard to get it regulated. Sometimes if I'm hyperventilating and I'm feeling really upset, it takes a minute to get it slower, but that's my goal, is if I can't control anything else in my world, I can control my breath. And I try to get the breathing back under control so that I'm breathing in 1, 2, 3, out 1, 2, 3. I try to get up to 3 and 3. If I could get up to 4 and 4 or 5 and 5, that's even better. But hyperventilating is 1, 1, 1, 1, and then you can get into a point where you feel very like you're going to pass out. So try to get that breathing under control. Again, in the test, stretch. Put your pencil down and just, I don't think anybody's going to look at you like, what are you doing? You're stretching just a little bit. Maybe your back is hurt from hunching over your test. Just pull your shoulders back and just pull your shoulders up and down. That will help them to relax. The other thing is visualization. I talked about the Olympics just a few minutes ago. Visualization is a very powerful tool. Many athletes, many performers, anything you're doing, people can visualize themselves doing it successfully. I see myself running strong. I see myself, staying calm. I see myself crossing the finish line. Those kind of things can help you. So you see yourself going into the test. You see yourself doing well. You see yourself staying calm. So using that visualization can help. Like I said, some of these tools will work better. Sometimes people will really respond to the deep breathing. Some people will really respond to the visualizations. Some people really respond to relaxing their body, doing a few yoga poses before they go into the test, running the stairs to get some of that energy out before they go into the test. Practice with some different tools and see what works, because this is your first round of tests. You'll have plenty more. So if this doesn't go well, try something different for the next test. So I'm giving you some basic tools. We are going to go into even more advanced tools in the next seminar. So this one is just really basic stuff, guys. It's just to help you kind of understand what test anxiety is and use some basic skills to try to manage it. So my top 3 are deep breathing, muscle relaxation, and visualization. And like I said, it's just closing your eyes and visualizing yourself doing well, being successful, getting that A or B or C. For some people, I'm like, I just need a C in this class. I just need to pass it. So I don't have to take it over. Okay? So let's go from there. We're almost done. Oh, we are done. Yay, look at me. Okay. I forgot. I've split this into 3 parts, and this is my first time doing this part. So I appreciate you guys coming in and watching this video. Really, it is just the basic stuff. Just understanding what's happening. You're not crazy. There's nothing wrong with you. This happens to so many people. And like I said, this could have been happening for a long time in your life, or it could have just started. Either way, a lot of these tips and tricks will work. And if you have any questions, please call us. We're located in the Counseling Center. Our phone number is 229-333-5940. We're located in Powell Hall East on the second floor, and that's our website above. And so I think you can even click off of that on your screen maybe, or copy and paste it. You can go to our website. There are some tips and tricks as well on our website under student resources, stress and anxiety. There's websites you can go to. There's probably other YouTube videos on here that you can watch. Use all your resources. There's tons of apps on your phone that help with anxiety, for breathing. So be creative, do lots of different things, and find out what works. The biggest things are sleeping, eating right, relaxing your muscles, trying to get that breathing controlled so that you can get that oxygen to your brain. Just know that you can do this, okay? So many people have done bad on their first round of tests and pull out great grades at the end of the semester. So again, we're here to help you if you need anything. Again, my name is Becca Smith, and thank you for watching.